Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. So, welcome everybody. I was just reading the chat here, and Unimatrix 001, you were saying that cloning of humans is not illegal now? I did think that it was illegal. I don't remember them doing it. So I didn't even have a chance to look. And also thank you for the super chats, I think they're called, right? $10, 220, 220. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Unimatrix 001. So you're saying that humans have been cloned now? Because I do remember test tube babies, but I don't remember any clones actually being made. Now there was some chit chat, what, 2 years ago ish, that from China, somebody claiming, some Chinese dude claiming he'd cloned babies, but then there was no, like they doubted it. They thought he was lying, and there was no evidence ever that he really did it. And of course, my screen is all suddenly acting up now. Human cloning. So I'm just looking up the wiki really quick. History. They're advocating for it. Dolly, remember Dolly? Generate embryonic stem cells. Cloning of primates. All right, current law is different in every country. It doesn't look like they've done it yet. They've done stem cells, but they haven't made like a whole baby, at least not officially. Primates using SCNT was reported with birth of 2 live female clones. Crab-eating macaques. Okay, so they've cloned adult cells, but they have not made a whole human. I mean, we've had a lot of stuff on here about, them putting neurons of humans in various weird situations and like that. Okay, they created 5 mature human embryos. In this case, each embryo was created by taking a nucleus from a skin cell and inserting it into a human egg from which the nucleus had been removed. The embryos were developed only to the blastocyst stage, at which point they were studied in processes that destroyed them. Members of the labs at their next set of experiments would aim to generate embryonic stem cell lines. These are the holy grail that would be useful for therapeutic or reproductive cloning. Okay, that was 2008, so that was quite some time ago. What happened with all that? Got to wonder. But I'm not really seeing anything that they've officially done it anyways. Okay, let's see what Shari's got here. Got tired of ripping Wisconsin politics and not being able to use chat. Oh, man, Danimal, I didn't know you were one of the rippin' people. Ripon, Wisconsin is a little city in Wisconsin with some interesting local politics. Canada last week passed a bill that bans human cloning but permits research using stem cells derived from embryos. Research that scientists hope will lead to therapies. Blah, 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 blah. All right, last week, when was this written? In 2004. Okay, so Canada did close the door. I can't say I really know Canada rules, so I couldn't say if that was a Mandela for me. I do remember them, like, I thought that there was at one time a big stink from the Republicans about even using stem cells. And at that time, you just could get them from umbilical cords. And then suddenly, oh, you can get them from fat, and you can get it from here, and you can get it from there. And then they could create stem cells like by reversing regular cells. And somehow all that Republican stuff was like gone and forgotten. And it is legal knowing create a human clone regardless of the purpose. Okay, so not current timeline looks like. All right, I'm not finding the ones where I don't know, if you found that, you'll have to dig it up again. So Shari, I guess, has been flying and got a really good view of the sky. Now you kind of know how I feel the last time I went out to the desert, because I'm like, I don't recognize that sky, the way the stars are. Yeah, there's this weird sheet of high cloud a lot of time that didn't used to exist for me, but it has been around for quite a number of years now, so I'm kind of getting used to it. Dark Wolf saying, Dark Wolf, I'm stealing your Mandela. I'm pretty sure that was you that talked about the miracle fruit, right? Weren't you the one who brought that one up? The miracle berry, because I'll have a chit chat about that next. Anyone, there's now a tree that glows under black light called the black locust tree. Oh, really? But they did shot that Lost in the Desert ending, but it was okay. I don't know what you're talking about there. Black locust glows under black light. Interesting. I can't say I'm sure that no trees glowed under black light. There's a lot of rocks that do, and usually don't go sneaking around at night with the black light checking everything. So although it is highly suspicious, I really cannot say. Oh, another 220. Thank you, Unimatrix001. Appreciate it. Okay, so wanted to talk about this miracle fruit, which I think that was you, Dark Wolf, that mentioned it a couple days ago. All right, so as I recall, when Dark Wolf brought this up, I was thinking at first that he was talking about something I heard about maybe 10 years ago, which was there was this I think it was a leaf or something, you could chew on it and it would block the sense of sweetness. So like say you ate this and it got on your tongue and then you put sugar on your mouth, you could not taste the sugar. It's just like the sweet was gone. And it was short term. So, a few hours later, I don't know, it was like a half hour or something, everything's back to normal. So it didn't really have any real exciting use because it was just a novelty to like put sweetness on your tongue and not taste it. But it's not really something that you like want to block normally, right? So when Dark Wolf said, oh, there's this fruit or something with the sweetness, I thought he was talking about that, but he's like, no, this is the reverse. This one makes stuff taste sweet that isn't sweet. It doesn't add any caloric anything. What it does is it changes the way your tongue receives information. So if you put this, like you chew it and get it all in your mouth, and then you consume something like vinegar, it's got to be acidic. So like vinegar works, lemon works, anything acidic. If you consume that right after you eat these berries, that thing tastes sweet. So can you imagine consuming vinegar and it tastes sweet? I've heard red wine also will taste like grape juice. And it's not like super expensive either. So these little berries, they're like about this big. What apparently they do is they have this protein that binds with the taste receptors in your mouth, and it binds with the certain ones. I believe it has to be the sweetness ones. It binds with the sweetness ones, and it alters the response of that taste bud, so that it will, if a acidic thing touches it, it will fire that taste bud. Basically, it's kind of confusing. I should probably try to read it because I can't say that I completely understand it. The protein is called miraculin, miracle fruit miraculin. So they're saying that natives will use that, they'll eat that first if they're eating something that's really acidic. It's been known about since the 18th century. Like, I don't think it was even known about 10 years ago when I was looking into the other one, because I looked pretty hard into the other one, because 10, actually, that's more like, that's maybe more like 15 years ago when I heard that other one. But there wasn't a lot of weird stuff in the world then, so I spent a lot of time reading up on this other one, and I just offhand forgot the name of the other one, but I did run into the other one still exists. So this one is an addition. It's not a change on the other one, because I did find the other one still out there. So they haven't figured out how to replicate the protein efficiently. So you still have to get it from the berry. And they can also, like, you can dry the berry out and make like a little pill or something out of it. And so I actually bought some from Amazon because they have fast shipping. And these are the little pills. I think you can see them. See how it looks. Wait. Here, this is how these are the little, I know they look like little medicines, but they have a very mild flavor, slightly berryish, and a little bit tart. These ones are called miracle berries, but sometimes they're called miracle fruit. The scientific name here, Syncypalum dulcificum. So basically, pop one of those out, and you just kind of wallow it around in your mouth, trying to get as much as you can on all the taste receptors. As you will recall, the taste receptors for sweet are not now all in one spot, like in the old days. So you got to really wallow it around. Okay, then wait a few minutes is recommended, and then go and like cut a lemon and suck on it. And you'll be amazed because the lemon was really powerful. I mean, like, I guess because it's so acidic that it was almost getting like, it was like getting punched in the taste buds. I swear, it was like, whoa. I don't know when the last time my tongue responded so sharply to a flavor, and it was like I could taste the sour plus the sweet. So it was like a double whammy. Like they were both really strong, but overall it tasted sweet. Then I slurped on some apple cider vinegar, and indeed it tasted sweet. Not as extreme as the lemon, but it did taste sweet. So I didn't have a lot of stuff here, so I couldn't like try a million things. I wasn't totally prepared, and I just wanted to try it because I just got them. But anyway, so these are really neat. And so the bush, it's getting hard to find these bushes. I swear, I'm really, really skeptical about these having been around for me personally. But in the current timeline, they were popular in 2008. There's this like, what do they call it? Taste parties or something. Flavor parties. I can't remember the name of it now. So I guess people were having parties where they would just like get a bunch of foods and then slurp on these berries. So you can either use the little pill, like I just got those because they were quick and cheap, or you can chew the berry itself. And they would have these parties with all this. I don't know if you've ever heard of any of this stuff, because I guess it was a big old thing. For a time in the 1970s, U.S. dieters could purchase a pill form of Miraculin. But it somehow got banned as a food additive for like no apparent reason whatsoever, because there's no real danger to it at all. Nobody seems to have an allergic reaction even. It's legal in other countries. But you can still get it at like you can buy it, but it can't be sold as a sweetener, apparently. You can be sold as its own thing, but not as an ingredient in other stuff. So it's kind of bizarre. I mean, like, if it's not safe, then why can I still get it? Anyway, so it's just interesting. And apparently the bush is not that hard to grow. So I actually went ahead and ordered a couple of these bushes, because it seems like not many people have these bushes, and California is kind of a difficult place to ship into. So I just, these suckers don't produce fruits until they're like 2 to 3 years old. And I was able to find a couple 2 to 3 year old plants. So I've ordered them, and we'll see what happens. It looks like I think I can keep them alive. So supposedly they'll produce like 150 fruit a year or more, and you can sell them for like $1. So I mean, I should be able to get my money back out of them if anything, provided I don't kill them. So I don't know. Oh, here's the one that I remember from before. It was Gymnema sylvestre, and that was the one that kills the sugar taste. And I did try that out. It was pretty neat. And then this one I've never heard of too. A kind of weird other artificial sweetener that I've never heard of called thaumatin, an intensely sweet protein. So I've never really heard of like proteins being sweet before. This one didn't look like you could just get the plant, and this is more like an accessory sweetener thing. But long term, I might try getting some of this too, because you can grow it from rhizomes, so it would be fairly easy to ship. Large papery leaves. You can use these leaves for, I guess you can use them for cooking, and it's got other parts of the plant have other interesting medicinal purposes and blah, blah, blah. But so I might try to get one of those. We'll see. Not known about the cultivation. They did say propagation via rhizomes. So rhizomes is just like a chunky part of the root. So you just get that and stick it in the dirt. I mean, usually when you're transplanting via rhizome, it's very easy. I mean, they're like commercial propagation, blah, blah, blah. I just want a couple plants. Then you got to figure out, how long does it take to create the fruit? Because if it was from leaf, then no problem. But apparently you got to get it from the fruit. Anyway, I've never heard of these other two, though. Now, this one maybe I wouldn't have because it really is just like another form of sweetener. But this one that actually alters your tastes, pretty strange. Okay, so the one I'm getting, this one doesn't block sugar taste. It creates sugar taste. So, very interesting. You can buy it now, though. They have it in like Amazon. I've seen it on eBay, and I've seen them on Etsy. So since I have the Prime free shipping, then I just got them on Amazon. Plus, you can get it like next day or something with Amazon. Those huge bugs are in here. Those, I don't know, they call them mayflies or something. They got all those big long legs. It's mayfly season. When did those show up? A couple years ago. The giant fuzzy caterpillar showed up a couple years ago. And now it's giant fuzzy caterpillar and mayfly season. All right, so we got that one. Thanks for the $1.10. I think that's Canadians. So that's pretty close to dollars. Cool. Thank you. Reading. Still haven't seen the blue bananas. I haven't seen them in person yet. Only online. When I was doing the lion dyes, after 2 weeks, I had permanent sweet taste in my mouth. Oh, that's interesting. So, when I did long ago, I did low carb, like all meat almost. And you do get a little bit of that metallic taste when you get the ketones, but it wasn't bad or anything. It was pretty minor. I think the lion diet worked pretty good back then. I don't know. The body is so different back compared to when I was on that diet. I mean, there's been so many Mandelas. I'm not sure what the deal is now, frankly. The body changes constantly. It's like... So, yeah, you can buy them on Amazon. Let me show you. So you can... I have not tasted the fruit yet. Apparently, it's just kind of a bland tasting fruit. I got the little pills because I just wanted to get a real cheap one, and it was going to get here right away. I think they called it Miracle Berry. And so basically the ones I got are like the berry powder. I think I might have got one like this one. I think they're all pretty close. I think it was this one. It might have been, no. It was one that came right away though. I think most of these are all the same, but Miracle Berry changed taste buds sour into sweet. So yeah, also be advised that the length of these how long it lasts on your tongue can vary. So for some people it's 15 minutes, but some people it can linger for hours. And some things actually don't really taste good if they're suddenly sweet. Like if you're trying to eat a hamburger and certain aspects in there get really sweet, like the pickle or something, it doesn't taste good. So plan that out, like if you're planning to eat your regular dinner soon, that might not be a good time to try these berries. Do it like after you've eaten your regular food, and then you're not gonna, like some things, there's been people saying, oh, well, it's 2 hours and I thought it was safe, but it was still lingering. So I did notice for myself, I think I am kind of a hyper responder, because even like 3 hours after I ate that one pill, which not really a pill, but I sloshed it around. And then I drank a little Monster drink, and Monster has citric acid in it. And I noticed that it was sweeter than normal. And that's fine for Monster, because I want it to be sweet. It's, it's a drink that tastes good sweet. Another thing that people do is like, if you get those fruits from the grocery store and they're not really all that good because they're not ripe yet or something, you could try those, because apparently they get a lot more sweet. People also said apples, but the top two seem to be like lemons or citrus, or the vinegar, although the wine seems to be pretty popular. I'm kind of making up a list, because some of these are hit and miss. Like some people love it and some people don't. But the ones like lemon and vinegar seem to be like the really popular ones that everybody thinks are altered greatly. The one thing I would say that there was a very few people who apparently it didn't really work for, like they have weird tongues or something, or their taste buds are different, or some maybe they didn't slosh it around good. Nobody's really sure, but most people it seems to work for. And like I said, it was like $12 for how many are in here. So I tried one. I gave one to Dave, and there's 8 left. So yeah, like $1 per. So when I get the bushes, hopefully there'll be some berries on them pretty soon, and then I can try the berries directly. So apparently these are slow-growing bushes. That's one of the reasons why I went ahead and got an adult one. Eating only meat is boring, but losing 10 kilos in 4 weeks was awesome. Yeah. If you eat some magnesium pills, the magnesium can help keep things moving along. If your digestion gets kind of slow. I noticed my digestion slowed down a little, but I really have pretty good digestion, and I've always done well on meat and protein. So it was just slower, but there was no real problem. And then it kicked back into normal after I adapted. So these ones I'm talking about, though, like I said, these ones actually enhance the taste. The other thing they're selling them for is they said it can help you. Like some people who have chemotherapy, they kind of lose their sense of taste a little, and so they can eat this berry, chew on this berry, and then consume a lemon, and they can really taste it. Like I said, the lemon for me was the strongest, and I don't know if everybody will be the same, but I really don't think even sweet, normal, like sugar on my tongue was not as strong as the sweet taste of this lemon after this miracle berry. It was like I got punched in the taste buds. I'm telling you, it was like, whoa, I have not tasted anything this strongly in a really long time. So yeah, I've been losing my taste for meat also, and that's one of the reasons I'm kind of not quite as excited about like that kind of diet as I would have been in the past. So no, you can get your sugar fix without having any sugar. Like people are making lemon pie without sugar, and it's just lemons, and then eating one of these pills and then eating the pie, and it tastes like really sweet lemon pie. So you can have like a sugar-free diet while still tasting sugar. I guess some people have been just doing this every night. After dinner, have one of these pills and then eat like, they say apple cider vinegar is good for the stomach. There has been a caveat to kind of cool it, especially in the beginning, because your stomach is probably not used to sucking down tons of lemons and vinegar. So don't go overboard. Like you don't want to get a stomach ache because you just threw a whole bunch of stuff down that your stomach is like in shock. That's why I need a sugar fix without sugar, because I love sugar. So, it won't give you that. I don't know how to describe. When you eat sugar, you get that sugar rush. It won't give you that, but you'll definitely enjoy the taste. I had a dragon fruit milkshake smoothie with boba. I like boba, but I have to say, dragon fruit to me does not have much taste. After 4 weeks of that diet, I was shocked how sweet bread was. Never had this intense sweetness before. Yeah, if you don't eat sugar for a while, your taste buds reset, and then stuff tastes a lot sweeter. Something very similar will happen if you just stop eating processed foods, and you can still eat like fruits and vegetables. You'll find that the fruits taste a lot sweeter over, like even just a week for me. I don't know how long for everybody. Oh, you make your own boba. Okay, so anyway, yeah, awesome possum on the Synapalum dulcificum. We'll see how it goes. See if I can. I'm going to just do it as a business thing. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. I'll just write it off. But... All right, so now that was that one. Thank you, Darth Wolf, for finding that thing. I'm not sure which one let's see, I started with, let's do that one that's the thumbnail. I think we did have a little bit on the early drones, like apparently the military was experimenting with humans standing on they didn't call them drones back then, but they're basically drone platforms in the 50s. So that was what that thumbnail was, and it was called the VZ1 Pawnee, and they had different versions of that. And I found this one on Retconned. I don't know if that's the original origin, but that's where I saw it, and it came from user Trachea Music. Trachea Music. So good find, Trachea Music, user on Retconned. So this is the thing. I don't know if this is colorized here or what. But supposedly that's an image of it. And so there's some kind of like rotor blades fans kind of thing here. And then you could just fly around. So I don't really get the feeling that this was... was this like an early jetpack thing? Information on this is kind of dodgy. There's a lot of images of it, but then they had a later version that was bigger. And the rationale for why these so-called failed, there were multiple versions. One of the versions was deemed too difficult for a newbie to fly. So one of the things they wanted was that they wanted you to be able to fly this with minimal training, like even as little as 20 minutes of training. And so I guess the first one they decided wasn't that good. And then the second one, you could fly it pretty easy, but then they said it would only go 16 miles an hour. 16 miles an hour is not bad. So what? I guess they didn't want 16 miles an hour is a lot more than like hiking speed, especially if you're going over rocks and rivers and all kinds of stuff. And then they were working on this third prototype, but then they said, oh, well, helicopters were becoming really popular and then they didn't need it anymore. I'm like, the thing is with helicopters, that doesn't really make sense to me because helicopters, unless it's changed, they're very difficult to fly, they're dangerous. You need a lot of training, very careful environments. They're extremely expensive to operate. There's a million parts on it. There's just a whole big thing with helicopters. It just seems to me like if you could just have one of these little drone dealies, and you could like learn to fly it in an hour, that would be incredibly useful. So when they were saying that they stopped making these because of helicopters, I just don't really get it. That's not really a good reason because the helicopters are it's another niche. It's just a whole different niche. These aren't even that big, so you could just put these on the back of a truck here. I think one of them, they said it was 180 pounds. So two people could slap this sucker on the back of a truck. You could drive off. And then, and it's supposedly fan blades under here. Let's see if this will open. Okay, not even in English, kind of irritating. So you could just drive off on the roads. I mean, like even for rock hounding, this would be so awesome. You drive off on your truck down the roads and then you can get in this thing and then fly off and like totally check out the whole area. You could land it, walk around on the ground, inspect things. Looks like they're pretty far off the ground here. I'm kind of confused because like the one showed like all this cloud coming down, but these don't show it. I'm really, really, really suspicious that this was even in the old timeline, and they really do look like they were like photoshopped in, don't they? It doesn't even look right. It just looks cray-cray. Look at that thing. I mean, like, I don't even get it. If this thing is flying, how come there's no downdraft here? Like, all these plants are just upright. This guy's hair is fine. This guy's hair is fine. There's not a bunch of dust kicked up. It looks like it's just, it looks like it's anti-grav, doesn't it? I mean, what is this? Is it solid down here? Because it looks like this is kind of loose, but they're not flapping around. I think this is one of the later models. I don't know. Something just seems really off with these photos to me. Okay, there's another version. Okay, there was some other versions. This one looks especially scary because you're sitting right on top of the blades. If this blade goes south, you're toast. Look at this thing. You're sitting on top of that. I would feel a lot better having a nice steel plate between me and the blades, I have to say. Oh, these are really lightweight, but... So yeah, this drone thing, it's getting out of hand, like way out of hand. In the cray-cray land. There, I mean, look at that little contraption. So he's off the ground here, and this guy, look, I mean, he's got some pretty long hair, and it looks like it's hairspray. It's not flailing around. There's no dust or dirt or anything in any of these images, too. And this guy is off the ground, at least a few inches here. And it may not be easy to see on yours, but something is awry with these images. I don't see, this is one of the few that shows something coming up. And I'm confused because this one looks like something's shooting out of it, but the others don't. So why is it that some have like an extreme jet coming out and then others have nothing? And there's really not a lot of information on these things either. Let me just go check the wiki. Pawnee. Direct lift rotor aircraft. Oh, and then you would tip your body to control the directions. If you wanted to go this way, you just tip a little. And if you wanted to go this way, you just tip a little. Original concept developed in 1940s. 2 models. Model produced in 56 for the U.S. Army. One used 44 horsepower piston engines. All right, then okay, then they put in like a conventional helicopter controls. The platform was dynamically stable, even though the pilot and center of gravity of the platform were fairly high up. In testing, prototypes flew well, but the U.S. Army judged them to be impractical as combat vehicles, as they were small, limited in speed, and only barely flew out of the ground cushion effect. But you can see they grew pretty high. I mean, I don't know. I just think that this would be so awesome if you were looking for any hiding people. You could land it pretty easily and jump off. Reconnaissance. And the price of these would be so much less than a helicopter. I just think it's really weird that if they were really that good, I feel like they're like this is getting slipped into the timeline. If this had really been there, I think it would have been much more developed. I mean, it looks like a little effing UFO. Seriously. Everybody's freaking out at Kanye West getting up to Pepe at the coronation. I didn't even see that, you know. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm kind of feeling lately like I'm just can't take this clown show seriously, you know. It's like I just watch everything and it's just like I'm watching a cartoon. And Kanye and all that, it's all just so crazy now. NASA equals no alien starcrafts allowed, or never a straight answer. Yeah, well, you know, if we're going to have different realities and different truths in each timeline, then they can't say too much now, can they? The whole coronation was weird. What happened to all the jewelry and crowns and luxury stuff? They were wearing tiaras made of simple silver. Huh. You know, I didn't actually really watch. I saw a couple clips, a couple images, but now that you mention it, yeah, I would have thought that they would at least have like a ruffly cloak and some kind of like crown thingy and that kind of stuff. So that is kind of weird if there wasn't. Who's acting weird for the last 3 years? For me, basically everyone I know. Yeah, I have to say, me too. I'm like, I've always been weird, but I'm different weird now. I'm definitely different than I was before. Maybe not more weird, but different weird. Different. Okay. Now this one, just something I ran into, kind of interesting. I don't know if you've heard of these karst funnels. Anybody heard of that? Karst funnel. Glavasevo. This is another one that showed up and I can't find much information on it. Pretty bizarre. No porn jokes on this one, please. Because it's going to be a little bit easy. Don't go there. Okay, so the super clear waters thing has definitely been developing. So this apparently is a giant super deep water thing. Now I didn't find any information on why it's blue green. I'm going to assume that there's some kind of bacteria plant, but it's blue green going way down. It's called Glavasevo vrelo, and it's in Croatia. Glavasevo vrelo, Croatia. And they said it's a karst funnel, Karst. I believe that is the geographic term of a certain type of substrate, but then I've never heard of a funnel, Funnel, karst. I've never heard of karst funnel. It's 160, they guesstimate it's 160 meters deep. So times 3 would be feet. So it was like 450-ish feet deep. They've never been to the bottom of it, but you could almost see all the way down there. I mean, like you're looking hundreds of feet down just right there. And it's crazy. Okay, it's crazy. I could not, like I said, I just couldn't find much info on what the deal is. Apparently this feeds goes down to a river somehow. They say it feeds a river. I have to say even that is a little confusing. I'm going to take out, I'm not sure what vrelo means, and I think you can find it without the vrelo word. It's Glavasevo Lake, that might be it. Okay, maybe it's Lake Glavasevo. So maybe vrelo means lake. So this just showed up on Reddit. Kind of looking for the wiki, but I'm not finding it. Glavasevo is a small lake in Croatia, which is a karst funnel, about 160 meters deep. From this funnel rises water, which forms the river Cetina. So water just comes up from 450 feet underground. It's kind of more along the lines of the more recent timeline. Ooh, it looks even more creepy in that one. Like way more creepy. Look at that. It's so blue. So I don't know if it's blue because it's just hundreds of feet of water, but yet you can see right through it. And that's one of the things I've never had in my old timeline is you couldn't see straight down hundreds and hundreds of feet of water. It would just block the light. The length of more than 100, forms river Cetina. So from this funnel rises water, which forms the river Cetina. So where's the river at? I'm not sure. Like I don't see a river around the edges, so that's another thing that confuses me. All right, there's a side view. Maybe this will explain it. Is that it there? And then this is the river, maybe? It's weird because it doesn't really look like there's much water there. Okay, so I could just guess maybe this is just a really shallow river and it looks like a mud puddle because this thing is so incredibly, ridiculously deep that it just makes this all look like a 3-foot puddle with a trickle when it's really, super deep. Anyway, more craziness. The FBI has entered the chat. I don't even think I said anything interesting yet. Why are the blades not covered on the top? Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, you're talking about that. Yeah, I don't know. Seems a little dangerous, doesn't it? Oh, the Great Walls. Yeah, there's Great Walls of everything. Great Wall of China, Great Wall of India, Great Wall of, and the China ones all over the place. Yeah, a bunch of walls growing in the UK area. We even have one up north here, kind of a shallow wall up north California though, but give it some time, couple shifts. That thing is just so cool though. Can you imagine how spooky it would be swimming over that? I mean, when you're on it, can you really see down that deep? It's like a creepy dream or something. Can you imagine just seeing down hundreds and hundreds of feet? So that supposedly nobody's been down to the bottom of it, which seems strange to me too. I mean, you would think that somebody would trot out there with like some kind of little submersible and just plop it down there and go down. I mean, there's not like a bunch of tides or anything. You have real good visuals. I would definitely go down there. I like the active volcano at Salton Sea. Yep. Has anybody seen this place with this weird statue? Let's see what this is. No. Palace unearthed at King Arthur's favorite birthplace. Archaeologists discovered enormous stone walls buried at a location that some have claimed is the birthplace of the mythological figure of King Arthur. Yeah, I don't know. Is it a big statue? It's kind of neat, I guess. There's so many statues now, I don't even know what to say. It's sort of like the weird birds. It's like I gave up trying to track it because there's just too many. It's like, you win, Mandela. I just can't. I can't keep up with that. Live chat. Okay, live chat. The Exogorth worm creature for Empire Strikes Back lives in there. Yeah, I know. I know it totally is something out of fantasy. In this world, it appears to be easier to get to Mars than to the bottom of a really, really deep lake. Yeah. So, if you look back on it, they're like, oh, well, we're just not really motivated to go to the bottom of the ocean and look. But when you think back on it, it makes sense because if all of that was going to change, if we had went down there and said, hey, there's nothing down here, and it was really well known, it would have made it a lot more difficult for us to get here where it's teeming with life now and all of these bioluminescent creatures and all that. I mean, it was like there was a reason we didn't go, and it was like some kind of weird Mandela style one. Pope gives true cross fragments to Charles III. Wait a minute. We didn't have fragments of the cross. We did not have fragments of the cross. I don't have telegrams, so I can't look at that. It's not letting me view the context. I don't think it's going to let me view the post. Pope gifts fragments of the cross. Is that legit? Because I have no recollection of us having fragments of the original cross. Oh, Reuters, huh? Reuters. Shards from the cross of Christ for King Charles's coronation. What? Believed to be from the true cross on which Jesus was crucified. To form part of a new processional cross which will be used at the coronation of British King Charles next month. The new cross, made from recycled silver, along with Welsh slate and reclaimed wood, was a gift from the King to the Church in Wales to mark its centenary in 2020. It will lead the coronation procession at Westminster Abbey in London on May 6. All right, so this was gifted in 2020. In a significant ecumenical gesture, the Cross of Wales will incorporate a relic of the True Cross, the personal gift of Pope Francis to His Majesty. Now, I'm kind of guessing that he didn't cough up all the shards, but I don't remember us having any part of the actual cross at all. And I know I've covered like relics showing up, but I don't remember. So first they had that. Now, my original Jesus did not, he just died on the cross, but he wasn't stabbed with that long spear thing. And that's kind of an older one. But then they had that long spear thing. And then they had the crown. That showed up, like the crown of thorns. That showed up a couple years ago. But I don't remember any pieces of the cross. Certainly not anything the Pope had. You know, maybe they'll, somebody in India says they have it, you know, but who is it true? But that's pretty weird. Okay, so we have pieces of the cross now, I guess. When does Jesus himself show up? All right, so that's the Mandela for me. Pieces of the true cross. The true cross. Interesting terminology. See, Shari's asking the same question, like, well, what? The Pope went back in his time machine to get it, yeah. All right, Shari's got a link. Let's see, is that more on the True Cross? Shards of the True Cross. Okay, and that was gifted back in 2020. I have to say it's a little, well, it's not really, the styling there is a little, I don't know, kind of ugly. I guess it's just my personal opinion, but kind of uninspired. Not to my taste. All right, Ghosty333 agrees. Never were true pieces of the true cross. It's legit whether it's from the real cross is up for interpretation. Yeah, it's just that the Pope supposedly has it. That's like, I've never heard that the church actually thinking they had that. We have the blood. So are you talking about like on that, on the, what do you call it? The fabric? That is also changed too. I think it used to be a negative, but now it's not the negative on the, what do you call that? My gosh, I can't even remember the name of that one. All right, so I got that one done. Okay, this one comes from Mark Tyus. So we've got 2 tornado stories, and the first one is from Mark. Good find. So currently, Montana had like there's been so many weather things. So he said to look up the mountain tornado, the Montana mountain tornado. But then they were saying, when I looked it up, it's not really a tornado. It's a land spout. I don't think we've covered land spouts before. I don't want commercials. All right, so this was over Montana. Pretty creepy. So a land spout, I guess, is like a water spout, but it's on land. And so what's the difference between a land spout and a tornado? A land spout, they're saying currently, comes from the ground up, whereas a tornado comes from the sky down. That's the latest spiel. So I really should look up water spouts, because I remember water spouts coming down from, I remember images. I'm going to check that real quick. I just remember that. Water spout comes from, does it come from the water up, or does it come from the, I know I saw in the past images of them showing the water spouts getting started, and they clearly came from the sky back then. How do they form? That looks like the start of an alien invasion. See, look, now this one has 1, 2, 3, 4. There used to be, there was like 2. It was amazing. Now there's like 5. It's like some crazy movie. Water spout is a spinning column of air that sucks up water, usually from the ocean, to make a twisting funnel. Spectacular but short-lived, usually only 5 minutes. Winds inside can be 100 kilometers per hour. They can do great damage to boats at sea. The Lennox Head tornado in 2010 destroyed a dozen homes in New South Wales. New South Wales, that's Australia, right? I don't remember them having those kind of problems in Australia. Water spouts in some ways like tornadoes that form over land. But where tornadoes are associated with huge supercell thunderstorms, water spouts can form during smaller storms or even just showers or the presence of the right kind of clouds. Water spouts form when winds blow in 2 different directions. Where they cross, apparently, there's swirling air and it gets started that way. This rising air carries water vapor high into the sky where it creates rain showers, storms, and cumulus clouds. Oh, it kind of sounds like it comes from the ground. As the air rises, it can tilt some of the horizontal spinning air near the surface into vertical direction. When this vertical spin concentrates at a particular point, it starts sucking up water and you have yourself a water spout. Since water spouts form in a line where the 2 winds meet, you sometimes see a line of water spouts in a row where the spinning low-level air is sucked up. All right, it does sound like they're coming from the ground up now. So the winds cross, and then it starts sucking up water, and then somehow that makes it vertical. Okay. It's kind of vaguey on here, but it sounds like they're heading that way with the spouts. Now, I'm very clear that I remember them coming down like mini tornadoes before. But I think this might be a shift. Unless I'm wrong here and this is not coming from the ground up. I don't remember any like stuff coming from the ground up that was major. But they're basically now, we had water spouts all this time. Now we have land spouts. And they come from the ground up. Gonna make a guess it's this crossing of the winds. Supposedly they're usually a little bit weaker, so they don't get into like the total devastation that a regular tornado would cause. But you saw that the water spouts could mess up ships and damage homes, so I would not put it past these land spouts to sometimes cause some problems. Snow-nado in Montana. Something is out of whack. See, 8 hours ago, I mean, these people know nothing about Mandela, but they know that there's not supposed to be snow land spout tornadoes in Montana. So, crazy times. Rare funnel cloud. Funnel cloud. Land spout. I've never even heard of a land spout until this. So, good find. Mark Tyus. Thank you. All right, so on that, I just found that one today because I was checking the messages today. But before I found that one, on my own, I also noticed this. So they are now calling so that when the sun used to shoot out those, things, like whatever you call them, they call them prominences is what they've been calling them for a while. I noticed this week that they started calling some of them tornadoes. And I saw an image that didn't look like the normal movement of them. And it did look like it was a tornado. So basically now they're saying that there's tornadoes on the sun. And they're calling them tornadoes. So here's one huge tornado on the sun. So I think it's kind of like an evolution of this whole prominences thing that it is now tornado time. Huge tornado on the sun. All right, there doesn't look like they're going to have. And it looked different. It just looked different than I remember any of the images before. And I was a little confused because they say tornadoes or prominences, but I don't think all the prominences are supposed to be tornadoes, right? NASA video tornado on sun as tall as 14 Earths spins. The tornado-shaped prominence, but they're definitely just calling them tornadoes now. All right, so there's an image. So you can see it just looks different than I recall them showing prominences in the past. So just interesting. The timeline definitely likes its tornadoes. Dramatic footage shows mind-blowingly massive tornado. March 18th. I also really look at, here it is. It's this high. I've never seen a prominence coming out like that. Just different. So we've got snow nados, we have fire nados, we have sun nados. I also do feel like the sun is getting more like furry, scruffy, prominency. Every time I look at it, it looks furry. And the fur gets longer and whatever it is, I don't know. But the whole look of the sun is definitely changing. I have never heard of the Basilica of the Holy Blood. No, I haven't either. I can't say I'm a big church person, but here in LA, the air is so much cleaner than in my past. That is true. Definitely noticed that even before I moved out. And in all of California. I saw a water spout come down in person when I was young. Yeah, I'm absolutely positive that I saw them coming down from the sky. They used to be more like little mini tornadoes. Basilica of the Holy Blood, Christ's blood preserved in a Belgian town. Okay, so the question is how legit is this considered to be? How is this revered vial containing blood stained with the actual blood of Christ, or so it is believed? These are tricky now because these are all showing up and they're like, yeah, but maybe it's just some kind of old story to get more donations. So that's why I was kind of impressed when the Pope said that we have the pieces of the cross, because then it's kind of official. I mean, I don't know if it's real, but used to be, the church says it is, then now we're counting it. The vial is a marvel adorned with gold and enclosed in each and end by coronets decorated with angels. This whole thing is so weird because, Jesus was supposed to be this plain dude that wore flip-flops, sandals, and a scruffy old beard and eschewed all pomp and circumstance. And then you get his stuff and it's like the finest gold spun metallic art on the planet, and I don't know, the whole irony, you just have to appreciate it. Let's see. On this day that the Bishop of Bruges carries the cherished vial through the streets, preceded by residents performing an historic reenactment of the relic's arrival and acting out other biblical scenes. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's so many things like this. I've never seen this particular one, but they're just popping out of the woodwork, literally. Very neat old basilica. Tartarian style, to be sure. Tornadoes everywhere. Yep. So, it had been getting cleaner for a few decades in California, and they said it was due to pollution control on vehicles mostly. It seems a little strange, though, because they also say that the majority of pollution actually comes from industry, and that hasn't been cleaned up that much. Now, I don't know. I think there's a part of me that just said, look, life is going to be easier if you quit trying to force everything to be logical, because it's just not. Trying to get information and stuff it into some kind of logic. The Mandela, I think it's going to resist any logic. I won't, not that I won't try occasionally, and I haven't totally given up, but you're really going to beat your head against the wall and be frustrated if you keep trying to demand that it all makes sense, because reality is not making sense. Times on keeps on slipping into the past and the future. Yep, like the song. The tapestry is frankly desecrated. It's not the old Pope, though. It's not the old anything, like that horrible, creepy demon hell statue that's right behind the Pope now. That was never there. Basilica of the Holy Blood. That stuff wasn't there. I remember we talking about the Notre Dame fire and the crown of thorns, and only just remember us discussing, not the details. I do remember that crown of thorns. I don't remember talking about shards of the actual cross, though. Okay, so let's see what's the next one. Tornadoes. Oh, I'm pretty almost done. Okay. I just ran into this one earlier. Look at this. I'm talking so fast today. Did I have some from last week that I was left over? Oh, I did. I did have a few from last week. I can go to that. All right. Let's get this one in. I just found this one earlier today. I didn't have a lot of time to go into it, but basically there's an article. Microwaves were invented in order to reheat cryogenically preserved hamsters. Okay, so there's a lot wrong with this. I don't remember that being how come microwaves were invented. But that one's a little tricky because when you go into it, they're basically saying that microwaves were invented by multiple different people for multiple different reasons. And that this version of the microwave was not the one that was eventually the prototype for the sales of microwaves. But he was one of several that invented one. And he also eventually used it to cook popcorn and stuff. So he was using it as a microwave. But supposedly he came up with the idea in order to reheat hamsters. But then that brings up a whole nother can of worms or hamsters, because since when can you cryogenically preserve a hamster and then reheat it and it be alive? It's alive. So we've had on here before that people now can get really frozen cold, but not frozen solid, right? And reheated, they're in the river for 45 minutes without air, and it's really cold. And at first it was little children would somehow survive 20 minutes, then it was 30 minutes, then it was 40 minutes, then it was older people. Well, apparently now we can cryogenically freeze up a hamster or a rat and then defrost it, and it'll be running around. Now, I don't know if it's going to have some damage. They didn't really go into that. Maybe it can't do math anymore. I don't know. Does it have it doesn't squeak right, but it was running around. So now we can apparently do that. And so what they were doing is they were taking these rodentia, these rodents, and freezing them so that, and it was weird because they said, well, they're 60% of their body fluids turned to ice, and they were frozen like if you banged it on wood, it would be like bong, 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 like it was like frozen, like it was solid. And I don't know why they said 60% of fluids, but they were saying they froze them to like 0 degrees C. So it wasn't like, dry ice type of thing, but I have a feeling we're going to see this shifting along too. Right now, it's the 60% thing. Kind of a weird storyline with the specifics, but then they were reheating them apparently at first using like heat pads, and it was causing burns on the skin. And so this guy was like, why don't we just use like this radar internal heat system by using like the radiation waves to kind of reheat them more evenly so they don't get burned on the skin and it's real even through the body. And so he created a microwave to heat up these hamsters that had been frozen solid. So it's like, what? I mean, have you ever heard of this story? So at first it sounds like some complete baloney, but a guy did a whole video where he even went and interviewed the guy that did the research, and they had a whole bunch of paperwork showing the studies of the reheating of the hamsters. And I'm like, okay, so we can cryogenically not just preserve, but then awaken, like reanimate hamsters. And this was in the 50s again, so there's a lot of weird stuff going on. This might be the most interesting story you'll ever hear about microwave ovens. All right, this guy does the video, but he has a bunch of research, and it's been pretty much agreed on that it's legit. Okay, so there was a newspaper article from 1997 that claimed the microwave was invented to reheat hamsters humanely in 1950s experiments. All right, let me just write this 1950s. All right, so supposedly the microwave was invented by Percy Spencer, blah, blah, blah. This well-known story doesn't mention anyone heating hamsters anywhere. But there was another guy who apparently independently invented the microwave, and it was James Lovelock, who conveniently recently died before this, I think, was even in my timeline. An independent scientist, environmentalist, and futurist whom Scott goes to interview after reading that back in the 1950s, Lovelock worked on the National Institute of Medical Research, freezing rats and hamsters, and he apparently had the idea to use a microwave diathermy to reheat them, which is microwave. It's the microwave. If you're interested in learning more, definitely watch the video embedded above. All right, so there's a whole interview with this dude. Let me see if I can find here. This guy, I don't know, it kind of creeped me out because he's got this weird, creepy
chest. So
smile
that must have
and
been pretty
stuff.
painful.
I
And it was messy. I thought this is a lousy way to do it. So I said, why didn't you use
I don't want to get a copyright. Smiley old man. I don't know. I guess maybe because I really don't think that he existed before, so it's extra weird when he's all sharp as a tack. It was like 101 or something when they did this. People didn't used to live that long for me, and apparently he lived a good life, assuming he's real and not a creation of the Matrix. So yeah, I guess we can now freeze and reheat hamsters. There wasn't a lot of info on how long we froze them for. You would think that people would be really interested in that, but I didn't find much. So maybe I'll be able to find more if I have more time to dig on this cryonics. So I think we're getting there with the cryonics. I mean, it just sounds like eventually we will be able to just have cryonics, it looks like to me. There was no info on these hamsters being really injured other than getting some burns on their skin from the reheating, and then the microwave fixed that problem. I mean, who would have thought in the old days that instead of us inventing techniques to do cryonics, we just have physics change to make it so we always could. Anybody remember the movie Coneheads? They are now calling the whole elite like Rothschilds the Coneheads. I've not heard of that, no. I think just recently we did have a little bit on that where somebody, I don't know if I had it on the show actually. Did I have it on the show? I can't remember if I put it on. There was like somebody from one of those rich families that had kind of a weird fat head, but that had been the first I'd heard of it, and it wasn't that long ago. There used to be a story of the scientist who discovered microwave by a candy bar melting in his pocket. So there, this guy Lovelock, there was stories like that where he was saying that because the initial research wasn't shielded, so there would be lights going on and off because there'd be EM fields flying around and all kinds of stuff. The elongated skull aliens from Ancient Aliens. Yeah, so those things, the supposedly they are just made from head binding. There was only in one location when those first showed up for me, but now they're like all over the place too. They actually have cone-shaped heads, especially the Rothschilds. See, that wasn't a thing for me until very recently that they actually had cone-shaped heads. Actually, yeah, I wonder how much that story is. And there was only like one or two of them when I looked last time. So let's just look and see what's up with the Rothschilds and their heads. Rothschild cone head. All right, let's see if that's enough. Newborn conehead. All right, no S. Rothschild. Okay, now as I recall, now I'm looking at this, I believe that we found evidence that this image had been doctored here. He doesn't have that long a head. This one maybe might be a little more realistic, but basically that was not, at least in that timeline, there was evidence. I mean, really, if you had that much of a head, it would it would probably be a little bit more well known. But maybe it's coming in. I don't know. All right, here we go. Jacob Rothschild. All right, so that's a little bit of a weird head, but it's within the realm of normal. It's a little bizarre. Like he has, what, 5% cone head genes or something. Normal person. Yeah, he's kind of pointy in the back. Now they say that if your head is down too much on a hard surface, it changes the skull shape and everything. So I don't know. Kind of interesting. We gonna get more of that storyline long term? Maybe we will. Let's see what Reddit people. Sometimes it does help to read the comments on Reddit because somebody will come in and have some interesting links. Thinly veiled anti-Semitism. So if I don't like Rothschilds, that means I don't like every Jewish person on the planet. This is so crazy. I can just trust one guy without hating his whole race. I mean, really. All right, I don't see too much. I don't want to do YouTube videos because that's like a copyright waiting to happen. Okay, I don't see anything new from the last time we covered that. All right, that's the same one. Yeah. So, yeah, kind of pointy, but I mean, I can't say I've never seen anybody with a kind of pointy head like that ever. Oops, I don't know why I pushed back on you guys. Sorry. All right, so yeah, that's the thing. But basically, yeah, cryonics is now a thing. All right, here's some ones from last week. So, Egyptian King Pharaoh Akhenaten. Yeah, Akhenaten had that weird head thing, and they said he had Marfan syndrome was the original story. I know, is that still the story that he had Marfan? I think it was. So Marfan's kind of an interesting one. I've said it before. When it first came out for me, people that had Marfan were just a little taller with a little bit longer fingers and a little bit longer face, and they used to, when I first heard of it, they said that maybe President Lincoln had Marfan, and that was pretty much it. You look just a little tall, a little gangly, a little long, but it wasn't that big a deal. But now, it's much more extreme than it used to be. And so people now really, they look like aliens, some of them. I mean, I've never actually met anybody in person, but you see images and they said this is Marfan, and they look like aliens. Like they look like they couldn't survive. I do feel like the face of him has gotten more unusual too since last time I've seen it. So I don't want to put too many of these images of some of the Marfan people. It's kind of disturbing. I've had it on before, and they've got the hypermobility and a lot of stuff like that. So I don't know what the genetics are, just all different now. But it looks like they're still saying that they have Marfan like he does. Tallness, long face, thin face, elongated skull. So that didn't, it just used to mean you had kind of a long head. It didn't really say you had an elongated skull. It sounds way more creepy when you say overgrown ribs. I haven't heard that one. A funnel or pigeon chest, high curve of slightly cleft palate, larger pelvis. Larger pelvis. See, a lot of these just weren't part of it before. All right, there's too much there to read. The monotheistic pharaoh has spawned numerous crackpot theories, including his having Marfan syndrome. So is that a crackpot theory now? Him having Marfan is crackpot theory? That was pretty accepted last I checked. A depiction of Akhenaten most likely was carved early in his reign and probably reveals what he actually looked like. Huh. Okay, he looks fairly normal in that one. Okay, theory put by Alwyn Burridge that Akhenaten suffered from Marfan. This illness symptoms do include features found in the depictions of the pharaoh and his family: slender bones, long face, elongated skull, spidery fingers, wide pelvis, among others. If this is indeed the case, the repercussions would have been severe. Akhenaten and his offspring would have been susceptible to sudden death due to a weakened cardiovascular system, and would have likely gone blind in adulthood. I have not heard of Marfan causing you to go blind in adulthood. That's a new one for me. I don't, Okay, so now they're not, it's not a crackpot theory, even though the title said it was. Typical titles now can't be trusted to actually represent the article you will be reading. Welcome to Clown World. They used to say a cone-shaped head was from the forceps being used during birth. Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember that. But now your head just moves around a ton anyway. All right, Shari got a link. Yes, that's that old link. Got it. Okay, we're done with that one. All right. So I've kind of mentioned on here that these like races of people just sort of show up for me. Like some years ago, suddenly there was this Tartaria thing. Well, now there's like this new one that just showed up, and I think I was going to do this one last week, so it was like 2 weeks ago. Suddenly I'm hearing about this. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Circassians. Have you guys heard of this Circassians thing? So there was supposed to be the most beautiful women in the world were Circassians. And it's kind of like one of these Tartaria regions. It was up in Russia, part of the Northwest Caucasian ethnic groups, initially from Circassia. I've never heard of Circassia. Were displaced when the Russians invaded Circassia in the 19th century. In 1864, a war erupted between the Russians and the Circassia people. The term Circassian is a combination of 12 Adig sub-tribes composed of 3 democratic and 9 aristocratic tribes. Each of the sub-tribes is represented by a star, which is printed on the Circassia flag. Most of Circassian people are Muslims. So I've said before, I don't remember there being a ton of Muslims in Russia up there. That just wasn't a Muslim area, but now you have them like up on the top over China and then Russia also, and that just wasn't a thing way back for me. So it makes sense that I didn't have Circassians either. They speak the Circassian language as their primary language. Having been exiled by the Russian rule, some of the people went to Turkey, England, Arabic nations, and Russia. There were approximately 800,000 Circassians remained in their homeland. Russian invasion of Circassia. By the mid-19th century, the Circassian nation was under the rule of the Russians. So that wasn't like that long ago. The exiles created settlements in the Ottoman Empire. They sailed to the Middle East, Black Sea. So one of the reasons that confused me is they were basically saying this has been spreading all over. I've never heard of Circassians, the most beautiful women in the world. An ethnic group historically famous for their alluring females. Many writers and travelers through the ages have described Circassians as the most beautiful women in the world. The Circassians were often sent to the Sultan courts as gifts from the governors. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't know. Are these real Circassian women? 1917. Turkish actress from a Circassian family. So you can't tell now because people could have like $100,000 worth of surgery to look beautiful. So, but I don't know. I mean, like the images I saw of them, they did look quite pretty, but there's other countries that have it. I'm just confused. I've just never even heard of this Circassia thing. I'm trying to find. So apparently they also had this thing where they would just have like at at circuses and stuff, they'd say like this is a Circassian woman and beautiful Circassian woman. So I don't know if they're just grabbing normal women and dressing them up. But one thing that was weird about these Circassian women that I've never even heard of Circassian is they have like basically they have that Afro-American hair. So I don't know if they have a wig on or if they've done up there because this just looks like a here let me put it in a new window. It looks like a white chick with black people hair, obviously. Now you there's probably ways you could do that to your hair, but I think it's probably a wig. But so are they just slapping this on there to make them look foreign, or what? So then I look up the Circassians, and some of them, is this a real one here or is it another circus one? But she obviously has that black people hair too. But then I look at the Circassians, a lot of them don't have it. This one actually kind of looks like she might. I don't know. So, do Muslim people have black people hair? And those women look like white women. They don't even look like Muslim women. So I'm like confusing. So then you go into this Circassian tradition and looks like they wear these weird hats that look like black people hair. So this is like a hat that's on here. That's not her hair. So they have these fuzzy hats that have that same kinky style hair. I don't know if it's from like some of the goats have like this weird, really wavy hair. It's really a cool looking hair. Let's see. Here's another one. Okay, so there's another one. And sometimes they have like these really, really white ones too. Okay, so was that like really their hair? Why are they like having these goofy hair wig things? So that also confuses me. Ugh, stupid Pinterest. Don't like Pinterest. Okay, so what's up with that business then? Like I've never heard of them. They're Muslim or do they look white? Circassian white fur hat. Okay, so here she's got the white version of it. But if you look at that, is that her? You could easily just think it's her hair, not a hat. So I don't know if this is Mandela trying to be sneaky here, and we're in a timeline where it's half hats, but it's gonna be hair, or what's up with that business? Let's look up the fur hats. Because usually when you see a hat, it doesn't like... All right, this one I've seen. This one at least looks like a hat. But it's just close enough that it could shift into being hair. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of these things. What's going on with this? They slipped into the timeline. They've got like manga hair. Or is it hats? Take your pick. I don't know what to say. I definitely saw some like little kids like this. And we've also had like this weird blonde haired, like it's got the tight kinks and curls of the black people hair, but it's blonde, and that's come into the timeline at places. So I just feel like maybe it's something. I don't know. There's like a pattern of this going on. So this guy obviously has the hat on, right? But look at then what's up here. He's got a matching mustache. Now you can see that's a hat, but if you just got rid of that little line, that could be hair. So, and why do they traditionally wear a hat that looks like black people hair? I mean, what is even the point of that? Where did it come from? it's just usually when you see those fur hats, they're pretty tight weave. They're not like, it's not like hair. I guess that's the thing. It's just strange. Yeah, they're like beefeater hats, but like way longer so that they could be hair. So I'm just wondering if they're going to be hair or they're modeled after hair. So most of those fur hats are just used to keep they'll use the really oily fur to keep snow and water off your head. But now they're like making it look like hair. And I've just never seen that before. And I've never heard of Circassians. And it looks like it's kind of a thing now where they were all over the place. There was lots of them. So yeah, I'm like, are we going to hear more about these Circassians? Because last time something showed up, it was Tartaria. And we're like, oh, that's weird. There's this giant area called Tartaria. Never heard of it. We kind of let it go. 2 years later, there's this massive, tons of conspiracy theory about Tartaria. And I've never even heard of it. So now we got Circassia. So I'm kind of waiting to see if we're going to get like a huge thing with that. All right, well, that's pretty much all I have for this week, and it's 1:48. So let me see if you guys have anything. Yeah, the uncombable hair showed up. That wasn't that long ago. And the blonde haired, like, I don't know, what do you call that hair? It's bad to say it's kinky. I don't know. It's super tight curls, but it's not normal curls. It's black people hair. So, the older photos of the Circassians, it's hard to tell what color their hair is on some of them. Queen Amidala, yeah. I know, it's neat looking. It's neat looking hair. Prettiest women I'd see: Swedish, Swiss, German, Austrian, Denmark, Finland, Dutch. I don't know. A lot of people like some of the Asian countries. Polynesian women have a reputation. I don't really even, that's not even my point. It's just I've never even heard of them, and they're supposed to be the prettiest women in the world. And so a lot of these circus women are probably not actually Circassians, because I don't think there was millions of Circassians in America. But, I don't know. Oh, Joe Bloor, prettiest women, every single lady in chat. Somebody is a little smooth over here. So, I don't know. I just thought I'd bring it up because it just seems like there's a lot of weird Mandelas with Russia, the top of Russia, top up over there, the Mongolian area up on the top of China, Mongolia actually being a separate country now. So, like for me, the Chinese were abusive to the Mongolians, but now we have this, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Uyghurs. The storyline for the Uyghurs are like the storyline used to be for Mongolia. So Mongolia suddenly had their own country, and now it's the same story with and I'm like, but there wasn't a bunch of Muslims up there. It was Mongolians for me. That was the Mongolians. So it's like it's almost the same, but not. I don't know. All right. Well, anyway, I think I'm done 10 whole minutes early. So hope you guys are doing good this week. You know the drill. Think good thoughts. Don't sweat the small stuff. Have another good week. Thank you all for coming. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.